Hi, I'm Noah. At the wedding, my wife made some really strange vows. I will always be by your side, day or night, Abigail said. And in the moments between moments. That statement made me pause, but it didn't raise any suspicions. This is Noah. Please subscribe for this story. I had been blindly in love with Abigail Thorpe for 6 years. Back then, her strange vow only seemed like her way of adding a bit of flair to the ceremony, as she always did with everything else. That's what I naively thought. For richer or poorer in sickness or in health, Abigail continued whether bound together or torn apart. My second vow rises equal to the first. I will protect you. My bride-to-be said, "You will be safe in your hours of rest. You are my world, a vessel for my love, my prosperity, my future, and I hope to be your vessel, a provider, an abundant source of wealth, joy, and love." I love you, Noah. I responded slowly, flashing a confused smile at Abigail's speech. You're just trying to delay saying I do, aren't you? The crowd burst into laughter, and like an ambitious clown, I laughed gleefully. I was completely unaware of the gravity of this wedding. I'm ready to hear your vows, Noah, Abigail said warmly, grasping my hand and looking toward the pastor. Yes, he stammered, still stunned by her words. Right, Noah. I cleared my throat. What version of ChatGPT did you use? I didn't get anything like that. Abigail rolled her eyes and shook her head. All right, I chuckled, serious now. I took a deep breath, trying to shed the humorous mask to reveal the real person beneath. Abigail, there's no one like you, I said. From the moment we met, I was drawn to you, the only person more foolish than me. I knew I had to marry you, if only to prove to my parents that compared to you, I'm not that weird. I heard my parents' laughter from the front row. You are kind, intelligent, and absolutely beautiful, my one and only love in this life, and in all lives to come. I continued, pausing briefly to hear the crowd's sweet murmurs of approval. I love you, Abigail, and I promise to be the vessel for your love, she emphasized, shifting restlessly in place. That was the only strange question that didn't surprise me. It was the vow my bride had requested, that we would be vessels of love for each other. Abigail was always a poet, and I viewed her entire declaration as just another quirky trait. The vessel vow was no different, just her unique language of love, I thought, trying not to laugh. I promise to be the vessel for your love. I agreed. The moment those words left my mouth, I immediately noticed something in Abigail's eyes, a shadow flickering at the corner of the church, the shape of a man, an outsider. It came with a sensation as if my brain was being squeezed, just for a moment, but long enough to make me wince. Noah, the pastor, asked, noticing my slight flinch. I'm fine, I mumbled, shaking my head to dispel the unease. Abigail smiled, but it wasn't the affectionate smile I'd grown accustomed to over the years. The time had come to declare our intentions. Do you, Noah Chapman, take Abigail Thorpe to be your lawful wife? The pastor asked. I do, I said, my eyelid twitching slightly as I fought against the feeling of invisible claws scraping at my skull. And do you, Abigail Thorpe, take Noah Chapman to be your lawful husband? The pastor asked. I do. My bride-to-be nodded, her lips curling in a strange way. Then by the power vested in me by God, I pronounce you husband and wife. Noah, you may kiss the bride, the pastor said. The crowd cheered as my lips touched Abigail's. Like her smile, like the entire ceremony, that kiss was completely different from all the times before. I had never felt both warmth and coldness from her touch. It was the happiest moment of my life, but it was shrouded in a vague anxiety, an inexplicable fear. But what followed wasn't panic. My wife and I began a passionate, intense romance, far more fervent than before our marriage. That quickly dispelled my initial doubts. The minor unease during the wedding was surely just the jitters of the big day. That's what I told myself, the simplest and most logical explanation. However, the first crack appeared after a month of living together. The topic of our residence came up for the 100th time. Abigail had inherited her family's ancestral home, along with a vast estate from her late parents. She wanted us to move there, which was, of course, understandable, but I hated the idea that her relatives would see me as a gold digger. Aunt Gertrude had once made a comment that stuck with me. The whole city knows about the Thorpe estate, and everyone's after Abigail. I've got my eye on you, Chapman. Her insinuation infuriated me. I was financially secure before meeting Abigail. I was a senior software engineer. I didn't need the Thorpe fortune. That house is yours, I told my wife. Do whatever you want with it, but don't feel like you have to share it with me. It's your property. I don't want to move in there. Abigail sighed. Don't be so stubborn, Noah. This isn't charity. We're married now. What's mine is yours. What about Chris, I pointed out. Isn't he interested in it? Doesn't he resent your parents for leaving the house to you? He inherited a large sum of money. The yacht and the lake house, Abigail said. My brother got an equal share of the estate. But does he see it that way, I asked. Either way, it's Thorpe Manor. It's your family's property. Come on, Chris only cares about money. My wife laughed. You need to get over this, Noah. No one looks down on you for living in that house with me. Forget Aunt Gertrude. She's just a bitter old woman my mother despised. Arguing with Abigail was always exhausting difficult, and left me feeling like I'd just chewed through a tough piece of meat. In the end, I relented, and agreed to move into Thorpe Manor. To be fair, Abigail was right, I was being stubborn. I admitted my mistake. Truthfully, I wanted to live there too. The estate was truly magnificent, and I secretly relished the prospect of living in a grand mansion. Our happy marriage continued, and things seemed better than ever for the next few months, better than ever, as I said. I forgot about our argument and the oddities of our wedding. Then the headaches started, just like on the day of the ceremony, electric jolts pounding into my head like short circuits. They often flared up in the mornings, but a dull pain lingered throughout the day. There were other health issues, too. No matter how much I slept, I always felt exhausted, my mind foggy, living in a dreamlike state. It felt like I was dragging around a heavier head which dulled my ability to think. It was strange because I wasn't someone who typically felt tired. I was a night owl, but suddenly I couldn't stay awake past 10 p.m., and nothing in my lifestyle had changed to explain this. Are you okay, my love? Abigail asked. I sighed heavily. I feel tired. Lie down and rest a bit, my love, my wife said. I'll cook dinner tonight. No, I said I'd do it. You still have to prepare for your presentation tomorrow morning, I said, but Abigail gently shushed me. I thanked her with a tight hug, then trudged wearily to the spacious living room of the mansion, choosing one of the 3 sofas to rest my heavy head. I collapsed onto the cushion and my body sank into sleep immediately. But my dreams were filled with hallucinations, bizarre, surreal nightmares of an exhausted body. As the body violently recovered from long nights of sleep deprivation, the mind went wild too. This wasn't the first time I'd had delusional dreams since moving into the manor, nor was it the first time I saw the man in those sleep-deprived, chaotic dreams, a man with gray eyes and no other features on his face. I woke around 6 p.m. I was certain I'd sleep until dinner was ready, but the sound of an irritated conversation woke me. I have to go now. Abigail. A familiar male voice cut in. It's too early for you. He's asleep. Do it now. I'm starting to lose patience. No, dinner's almost ready. My wife sighed. He'll wake up soon enough. There'll be time afterward. Fine, a female voice snapped. In the moment between moments, Abigail said, I shut my eyes tightly, my body trembling as I tried to make sense of that cryptic conversation. I strained my mind to identify the voices. At dinner, I was distracted. I wanted to ask Abigail about the mysterious visitors who had left before I pretended to wake up. Of course, she surely knew I was eavesdropping, and there was something about the nature of the conversation that made me uneasy, a feeling of betrayal. Abigail had never made me feel this way before. When we went to bed, I lay awake with my eyes tightly shut. I was anxious, waiting for any scheme that Abigail and her faceless accomplice might carry out. I told myself I'd stay awake all night. My frayed nerves would keep me alert. The storm raging outside would help me stay awake too. Yet I was stunned when I was woken by the alarm clock around 7 a.m. I had failed to resist the pull of sleep, and the terrifying implication of that truth began to dawn on me. The exhaustion, the excruciating headaches, the strangers in our home, something was wrong. And that morning there was another strange detail. My pants were stained with mud. Had I sleepwalked outside, I wondered? I wasn't sure. So I decided not to say anything to Abigail. I knew all these things were connected. My wife was definitely hiding something, and I devised a plan to uncover the truth. I would secretly record myself to see if I was truly leaving the bed at night. Maybe I had gone for a walk. Perhaps I had hit my head on a tree. There had to be a rational explanation for everything, even the conversation I overheard. Maybe I had misunderstood or misheard. I reassured myself, or perhaps better yet, it was just a dream. With my confidence restored, I hoped the footage would shed light on everything. After setting up the camera, I went to bed with a thrill of excitement in my stomach. I looked forward to waking up and finally having answers. Unfortunately, the next morning there was no mud or any signs on my clothes, and the footage showed I had slept through the night. The following days were the same, and I began to lose hope until Chris came to stay. Abigail's drunken younger brother was infuriating. The moment he arrived at the manor, he collapsed on the sofa. He had just won a large sum from gambling and immediately squandered it on a 2-day bender. This wasn't the first time he had earned and recklessly spent his fortune. Will this go on forever? I sighed. My wife shrugged. He's an addict, Noah. We have to support him. He's trying to get clean. Maybe, but he's also a lunatic, I said, and he never has to take responsibility for his actions. Abigail's face darkened. Noah, he's still my brother. Besides, he's here to clear his mind. Fine. I nodded, unconvinced, rubbing my throbbing forehead. Speaking of which, my headaches are back. I'm going to bed. Good night. Good night, my love, my wife said, kissing my forehead lightly. The next morning I woke with the familiar feeling of disorientation, and for the first time I felt glad about it. I knew exactly what it meant. I rushed to the computer, downloaded the footage from the hidden camera, and fast-forwarded through the events of the previous night. What the hell? I muttered. At midnight, Abigail's eyes snapped open. She lay on her back, stiff as a board, as if she had never truly been asleep, as if she weren't human for that matter. My wife stood up like a machine, her rigid legs marching to the bedroom door. When she opened it, Chris stepped in. It's time. Is he ready? My brother-in-law asked. Abigail nodded. Good, Chris replied, then cleared his throat. In the moment between moments, he will be set free. In a blurry motion, too fast to follow, something horrific happened. My body was split in two. Abigail and Chris stood silently watching as my sleepwalking body left the bed, separating from a dark, shadowy form left behind on the bed. My real mouth gaped open. I watched my wife and brother-in-law leave the room, followed by my soulless body, and on the bed, only a trembling black shadow remained, a shadow vaguely in my shape. It was a vibrating energy source, rigid in place. I gasped, my mind shattered by horror. I trembled before the computer screen, staring at that terrifying shadow in the footage. After half an hour, Abigail and Chris returned, followed by my soulless body trudging back in. Are you satisfied? My wife asked. Never, her brother replied coldly. And you... It's done, my wife said, placing my body back on the bed. It lay directly on top of that dark shadow. So why do you do the same? Chris asked, flashing a sinister smile. Abigail waved him off. You are the vessel for my love. He is set free. With those words, the shadow reintegrated into my body, the flesh absorbing that dark form. A second after the reunion, I, in the footage, began snoring normally. You love him, my wife said. You only love what he brings you, her brother mocked. Good night, Abby. After her brother left the room, Abigail stood silently for a few minutes. She stared at the wall, breathing heavily. I didn't know what she felt. Anger, sadness, frustration. All I knew was that her breathing gradually slowed until she looked completely calm, serene. And then her head turned to stare directly at the camera. Damn it! I shouted, falling off my chair. As I stood up, my eyes were drawn to a figure at the doorway. Abigail had come home. I've been waiting for you to wake up. She sighed. Noah, I can explain. What the hell? Abigail, I yelled. What the hell is going on? I don't know how to tell you. I'm out of here, I roared, charging toward the stranger standing at the threshold. Day or night, remember your vow, she whispered. In a surge of excruciating pain, I felt my body split in two, and before I could realize it, I found myself standing before my own body. It stood there like a statue. I was a soul detached from my body experiencing a horrific, out-of-body nightmare. Don't worry, Abigail said, leaving my soul behind as she led my body out of the room. As my wife and body left the study, the colors of reality swirled around me, and I fell into a limbo filled with hellfire. Strangely, I recognized the place. Some memory stirred in my mind. I had been here many times before, each time the Thorpe separated my soul from my body. And when I woke, I forgot, left only with headaches and questions. I decided this time would be different. Is anyone here? I called. I wandered through the barren, hellish realm, cautiously scanning the mounds and avoiding the streams of molten lava or whatever else burned in that wasteland. The sky above was pitch black, but there were no stars. It was an endless void, not a real sky, not anything. After what could have been an hour or a minute, I finally gave up my mission and accepted the fate Abigail had set for me. With a deep sigh, I turned to head back, but my feet froze. Following me, no more than 10 meters away, was a tall, gaunt figure, a man with human-like limbs, but nothing about him belonged to our world. He was made of loose patches of skin, some missing, revealing throbbing black masses beneath the surface. When a supernatural flame flared, it illuminated sparse patches of hair scattered across his body. Like the man in my nightmares, he had gray eyes and no other features on his terrifying face. Welcome back to the void, Noah Chapman, the creature said, its voice emanating from all directions. I trembled, stepping back. Once again, you've forgotten my face, he said, tilting his head to one side and staring at me intently. Perhaps if I wore your pleasing skin, you'd recognize me. The creature took a silent step forward, and I wondered if he had been following me silently the entire time I was in this horrific realm. Too terrified by the absurd reality before me, I stepped back, but the creature was swift and massive. He seemed omnipotent in his domain. I had no doubt. What do you want? I asked. Nothing, he replied, drawing closer. You should ask what they want. I gasped, retreating from the repulsive shadow approaching. His gray eyes gleamed, swirling into endless whirlpools as if they meant to swallow me. What have they done to me? I asked. Where am I? A better question, the creature replied. They've bound you to Abigail, and they're using you. Using me for what? To claim their rewards, he growled. No soul can cross the boundary and enter my sanctuary, but a soulless body can. It can carry out their commands. But I have a soul, and I'm here, I pointed out. This is not my prison, he replied. This is nowhere. This is the void. What are you talking about? I shouted. You always ask that. I'm tired of explaining this, he growled. I am Temin, and I grant rewards to those who feed me. Noah Chapman, the cabin by the lake. That's where I've lived for 50 years. The Thorpes imprisoned me, and now they feed me. You are my feast. You made a deal with the Thorpes. I did. I asked. I must survive, Temin replied. I cannot live within the Thorpes. They bring your soulless body to me. They separate your soul from your body, turning you into an empty shell, a corpse I can use to enter the mortal world for half an hour. In return, I grant them whatever they desire, each time a portion of their reward. You've taken over my body, I whispered. One cannot be taken over, Noah Chapman, Temin explained. You are not your body. I gasped in fear, and an unthinkable question escaped my lips. Can you make a deal with me? The terrifying creature finally stopped. He looked at me with intrigued eyes, flashing a strange smile on his featureless face. You've never asked that before, Noah Chapman, he replied. What deal do you want? I stammered, searching for words. I want to escape the Thorpes escape. You escape this realm. Escape everything. And in return, he asked. I swallowed hard. I'm not cruel enough to sacrifice someone else to you, not even a wicked person. Oakwood, Temmen said. I paused. Oakwood. Yes, he continued. The Thorpes refused my request. I don't need much, just a little. It will free me from my prison. Why, I asked cautiously. It will release me from my prison, Temmen said. And they don't want to free me. They need me time and again for all their selfish desires. I won't imprison you, I replied. I only need one thing from you. We seem to share a common purpose, Temmen remarked. Freedom is such a perverse harmony. However, I'm a bit curious. Why don't you fetch the oak wood yourself? You've used my body as a vessel to leave your cabin many times. I am bound by rules, the creature growled. Do we have a deal, Noah Chapman? Yes, but won't I forget this? I asked. Right now, Abigail is taking my body to the lake. Indeed, Temmen said. I sense her approaching. I will have to leave this void, and as always, she will ask me to make you forget. You will bring me the oak wood, even if I lie, won't you? I trembled and nodded. In the moment between moments right, he continued. I nodded again. Very well, Temmen growled. I will ensure you remember. I screamed as my soul was swept away by a black mist where the horrific entity merged with the surroundings. After an endless fall, I felt myself reconnect with the material world, the mortal realm. I realized that darkness was the inside of my eyelids. When I opened my eyes, my soul had returned to my body. I was back in the real world, lying in bed in real time, no longer in that void. Good morning, a cheerful voice rang out, startling me. I turned to face the bathroom door, and my wife was looking at me, smiling brightly with a toothbrush in her mouth. She had asked Temmen to erase my memory, and I had to pretend it had worked. It took immense willpower, but I smiled back. Good morning, I replied, my voice hoarse. It's actually afternoon, my wife chuckled. How's your head? Better, strangely, I said. I wondered if my headaches were caused by Temmen to suppress my memories. I also realized it was still the same day, only a few hours had passed, but Abigail was pretending nothing had happened. When I glanced at the spot where I'd hidden the camera on the shelf, I noticed it was gone. She had asked him to make me forget about filming myself, I realized. What do you want to do today? Abigail asked. It's the weekend. I'll go for a walk first, I quickly replied. My wife frowned slightly, but then her face softened and she nodded. Fortunately, I genuinely had a habit of walking the grounds every morning, so it wasn't anything unusual. What made her suspicious was the urgency in my voice. Before Abigail could figure out what was happening, I was out of the house and running straight to the car. I knew there was a road nearby lined with oak trees, and all Tem needed was a small piece of wood. Just a small piece, and he would be free. I would be free. As I drove away from the manor, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Abigail was standing on the front steps. Damn it, I muttered, flooring the gas. She knew I was lying. She could read my thoughts, and I knew she was smart enough to understand what that meant. But it didn't matter. I had escaped. In fact, I should never go back, I thought. She wouldn't be able to get my body if I ran away. She can, Temmen's familiar voice whispered. No matter where you go, she can summon your body in the moment between moments. I screamed, startled by the sudden voice in my head, and my eyes darted to the lake near the grove of trees. My entire body went cold as I saw a figure lurking among the long branches, gray eyes, not human, staring back. Returning my eyes to the road, I pressed the gas harder and sped through the manor's main gate. I drove along the oak-lined road I had targeted my mind, reeling with thoughts of what my wife might be planning to regain control of my body. After pulling onto a grassy embankment near an oak tree, I grabbed the pocket knife from the glove compartment. Thank heavens we had gone camping recently. I leapt out of the car, stumbling up the hill to the nearest oak. With a quick flick, I cut a thin piece of wood from a roadside oak. I didn't hesitate, jumping back into the car and speeding home. However, when I returned, the atmosphere of the manor had changed. I drove slowly through the main gate, dreading what I might find at the lake. Abigail and Chris could be standing there fully armed, ready to kill me on the spot. But there was no one, which scared me even more. I didn't know what my wife was planning. I drove onto the lawn toward the line of trees separating the estate from the lake. That's when I saw them, 4 figures standing in a small clearing by the water. The Thorpes, I wondered. I didn't know how Abigail's parents could be alive, but I saw them standing there staring at my approaching car. "They will take you," Tem whispered in my head. I froze in terror as I felt my soul wrench free from my body. I stopped the car and I saw my soulless body step out, walking across the lawn toward the deranged Thorpe family, waiting by the lake by Tem's prison. Reality swirled once more, hurling me into the void, the dark world of lava and horror. The terrifying creature spoke from between 2 cliffs. "You have failed, Noah Chapman, and now they will make you a vessel again." "My body is in your prison," I asked. The creature paused. "Yes. Check the front pocket of my jacket," I whispered. Tem's eyes glazed over as if he were seeing something in the real world. "Oakwood. I understand. Your deal is voided, Noah Chapman. With my power, I declare you freed from Abigail Chapman, freed from the Thorpes." As the world around me dissolved, my soul collapsed too, stretching into the endless dark abyss above. I woke kneeling on the ground in a clearing by the lake. Around me was a cluster of trees the Thorpes called a forest. At my feet was a muddy slope hidden behind branches and bushes where Tem's prison had once been. Before me I saw the outline marking the boundary of his domain, but I was standing inside it. No soul could enter his prison, but I wasn't burning. I could still move forward. It was no longer his prison. I had freed him. I ran through the branches, ignoring the early evening sunlight slanting behind Thorpe Manor. My soul was free, but I had to free myself physically from that wretched family. I jumped into the car, still open, with the driver's seat on the lawn, but it wasn't the only vehicle around. About 100 meters away toward the house, Chris's Ford GT had crashed into the front wall of Thorpe Manor. I wanted to flee, but I had to know, had to be sure. I drove back to the house, stepped out of the car, and navigated by the light of my phone. There, sitting in a bloody mess behind the wheel, was Abigail's beloved brother, Chris Thorpe, crushed like a gruesome custard pie between the seat and the hood, or rather what was left of the hood. The car he cherished, one of the gifts Temin had surely bestowed. Trembling, my feet carried me to the front door. I stepped into the bright, luxurious house with unsteady legs and saw a scene of chaos: furniture, overturned walls, scratched, and decorations destroyed. In the living room, I saw 2 people I never expected to see again. 2 people I could hardly believe I was seeing. Miranda and Harold, the late parents of the Thorpes. Once again, they were soulless corpses. Harold lay on his back, his belly swollen, his eyes bloodshot, gold coins spilling from his mouth. As I leaned closer, looking at the particularly bloody edge of his right eye, I saw a round mass pushing into his eye socket. His entire body had been stuffed with coins, the wealth he had surely gained through dubious means. Miranda lay beside him, her body twisted into a heap of spilled guts. She had been strangled by the luxurious dress she wore, a dress stained red but untorn. "Abigail," I muttered. She was the real reason I came back. Despite the horrors she and her family had inflicted on me, I still loved her. I still had to know what had happened to her. Temin had slaughtered the others. I knew he wouldn't spare her. As I reached our upstairs bedroom, my suspicions were confirmed. However, the scene wasn't what I had imagined. My wife was still alive, but it was a horrific kind of life. On the bed, Abigail lay gasping. She had aged beyond any mortal creature, older than comprehension, as if Temin kept her alive as a cruel act, a punishment worse than anything the others had endured. Noah, my wife, whispered, breathing through decayed lungs and a rotting body. As I stepped to Abigail's bedside, I lacked the courage to touch her, fearing she might crumble into dust in my fingers. "Why did you do this?" I asked. My wife whimpered softly. I didn't mean for cruel things, Noah. You have to. I did a terrible thing to you. You stole my body. My soul turned me into a pawn. You could throw into the wolf's mouth. I interrupted. The money Dad squandered, the beautiful things that made Mom cold and ruthless, the successful investments Chris wasted on pleasure and tormenting others. She coughed violently. But I just wanted to bring Mom and Dad back. And then I really just wanted you to love me forever. I wanted us to be together forever. I wanted you to love me unconditionally. I was too greedy. This is his punishment, killing me with age and a broken heart. You sacrificed me to pay for those things, I said bitterly. No, he wasn't supposed to harm you, Abigail whispered, her eyes fading. Look at what it's done to all of us. I only hope he keeps his promise, I said. My wife's eyes widened. What did you say? His promise? You made a deal with him. You freed him, she gasped, clutching her last breath. I nodded. After you imprisoned him. Imprisoned him, Abigail? I sighed. That's what he told me. That's what he said. That we found him. No, he was locked in that cabin. Someone locked him there long ago for a good reason. You or someone else, I really don't care, Abigail. I sighed. It was the only way to free myself. My wife shed a single tear, all she had left to give. May some force have mercy on your soul, Noah. For surely there is no God here anymore. This is Temen's domain now. As my wife slipped into the deep, empty abyss, we all meet at the end of the road. I reflected on her final words. What good would lying to me do? In the weeks since her death, I've kept wondering what she meant. I shouldn't have freed Temen. I knew what he craved when he was imprisoned, but I don't know what he craves now that he's free.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, drop a comment below. And please like, share and subscribe my channel.